Dan from A3 Rentals and Sales, and today we're going to be taking a look at our brand new 2023 Coachmen Apex Nano Model 208 VHS. Just like always, I'll be showing you everything on the outside and the inside, so you'll be all set and prepared when you decide to rent from us. Now we'll start from the front here. You'll find that this trailer is 25 feet long. We like to tell our customers that the height is 12.5 feet, although it is a little bit shorter than that, but you still want to keep this 12.5 number in mind when it comes to parking garages, drive-thrus, and tunnels. Now under this cover, you'll find two standard 20-pound propane tanks. These will each last about a week before you'll have to refill them. And if you do have to refill them, truck stations and campsites will do it for you. These are going to be powering things like your stove, your water heater, your furnace, as well as your fridge when you're not plugged into shore power. Behind that, you'll also find our house battery. Now the house battery is for very minor electrical things, like the lights inside, or the awning, or even the slide out on the driver's side. It'll be charged when you're plugged into your vehicle and the vehicle is running, as well as when you're plugged into shore power. So you can expect this to be running for at least a couple days before it'll run out. We're going to continue on to the driver's side here. So we have a big storage area that'll go across the front, and we've placed a couple things here. We have our crank. This is a manual crank for the jacks. You have two in the front, two in the back here. And then we also have our 30 amp power cord. So I'll show you where to plug this in later, but this is 30 amps. You want to make sure that your campsite or wherever you're plugging has 30 amp. Once you're plugged in, all the major electrical appliances inside will be working. So that'll be your TV, your microwave, your AC unit on the roof, as well as all the regular power outlets inside. Next to that, we have our freshwater inlet. So we'll give you a garden hose to connect to this inlet here, but this will be to fill up your water tank. So if you're boondocking, you're not plugged in at a campsite to any sort of pump, you're going to be taking water off of your tank, of course, and this will be how you fill it up. That's opposed to the city water inlet, which I'll get to later. Next up back here, we have our outside shower. So if you were at say the beach and you want to wash off sand or dirt before you head inside the trailer, you just have a little faucet, hot and cold, right over here. Above that, we have two more inlets here. We have our tank flush valve here. You won't have to worry about this. It just helps us wash out and sanitize the tanks for the next customer. Next to that, we have our city water inlet. So, as I said earlier, this is pretty much your counterpart to the freshwater inlet. You're going to use the same hose, but instead you're going to screw it on to the inlet right here. This will be to bypass your tank and go straight into the pipe. So in other words, if you have a pump at a campsite or wherever else you're staying, you're going to connect it to your city water instead. And back here we have our power cord connector. So you'll see the 3 prongs here. That means it's 30 amp. 50 amp will have 4 prongs. So again, you're going to plug it in here, plug the other end at your post at your campsite. Below that, we have our TV cable inlet. So we'll also give you TV cables, a small black wire. You're just going to hook it up in here, hook up the other end at your campsite. If you don't have cable hookup, that's all right. There's also an antenna for the TV on the roof. Below here on the driver's side, we have our dumping station. So I'll show you how to dump out your black and gray waste tanks. So you have your sewer hose here we'll give you. You're going to take this end with the teeth and you're going to clip it onto this outlet right here. Just like that, and then you're going to take the other end with this elbow and you're going to stick this in the ground of your sewage, wherever you're dumping. We have two color-coded valves. So we have our black valve for the black tank, that's your toilet water, and then you have your gray valve for your gray tank, that's your sink and shower water. So right now it's pushed in, which means it's closed. You're going to pull on this to open it up, and then that would allow the waste to come out into the hose. We recommend you open up the black one first, and then the gray one to kind of flush it out, just to sort of clean it. Once you're done, there are gauges inside that will tell you how full or empty all of the tanks are. So once you're empty, you can just push them back in to close it, unscrew the hose, and you're all set. Now onto the back of the trailer. This time the only thing we'd have to worry about is your spare tire, which is mounted onto the back here. Now we're on to the passenger side. I'm going to start with our outside kitchen over here. So you have a few things to talk about. We have some power outlets over here. You want to make sure that you're plugged into your campsite and to shore power for that to work. We also have our fridge here. Again, you'll have to make sure that you're plugged into shore power for this to work. And then we also have an outside stove here. Just going to pull it out all the way, lift it up like that. Just like this here. Okay, once this is set up, you have a black cord here for your propane. you're going to take it out and you're going to hook it up to your propane outlet, which is down here, this little outlet right here. Alternatively, if you have a grill at your campsite, you can just hook it up in here. It'll take it off the propane tanks in the front that I showed you. Over here we have our hot water exhaust, so of course you're going to hear a flame going in here when you turn the hot water on inside. I'll get to that, but expect it to be hot, don't put your hand here. The same will go for your exhaust for the furnace here as well. Here is your refrigerator exhaust, so as your fridge is running, it'll start leaking here. It's just condensation, it's just how it works, so no need to panic. Next to that, we have a few more power outlets. Again, you want to make sure that you're plugged into shore power for these to work. Lastly, back at the front, we have the other end of that big storage area for the outside. So this is the sewer hose that I showed you earlier. We have a little switch here for the LED lights in the very front, just a LED strip. And then we have all the other hoses and cords that we'll give you. So in here we have this black wire. This will be your TV cable. We have our white hose here. You'll use this for your freshwater inlet and your city water inlet. And lastly, we have our 30 amp to 15 amp adapter. You can put this onto the end of your power cord so it looks like a regular wall outlet at the end. The only difference is it won't be as powerful, so you shouldn't expect the AC unit on the roof to be working, for example. Everything else should be, however. So that concludes the outside of this trailer, so we're going to head inside here. So to take these steps out, you're just going to make sure that your door is out completely all the way. You're going to tug this little latch here, and then you can slowly, carefully bring these down. Again, when you bring it back in, you want to make sure that your door is all the way out to the fullest. And on that note, we also have a detachable screen door right here. Okay, so now that we're on the inside, we have a few things to cover at the entrance. So by my head here, we have a few switches. We have our slide out room, which is going to run on the house battery, the little battery in the front. So you can just hold down in or out to extend or retract this big box on the driver's side here. Right now it is fully out, so this is the maximum amount of space you'll have on the inside. Also running on the house battery, we have our switch for the awning, which is the tarp on the outside. We can retract it and extend it here. It'll go out about 8 feet total, and it's only for shade, so if it gets windy or rainy, we suggest you bring it in immediately. And on that note, we also have our LED strip of lights for the awning outside as well. Down here, we also have a sound system. So we have speakers on the inside and the outside. You can switch between them. You have your radio, and you can also connect your phone either through USB or Bluetooth if you want to play your own music. By my feet here, we also have a fire extinguisher, and above our head we have a smoke detector, and finally down by the dinette area we have our carbon monoxide detector. In the back here we have our bunk beds, and then on the other side we have our bathroom. So the bathroom is pretty self-explanatory. I'll just go over a few specific things. For the toilet, we have a little pedal by our foot here. To flush it down, you're going to make sure that the water pump is on. If you do that, I'll get to that in a second. Either that or you're plugged into city water. I'll also point out that the toilet paper is RV specific. It's called RV Marine Dissolvable Toilet Paper. You can get this at the camping section at Walmart, or campsites will also sell it. We also have some bottles of solution for the toilet that we'll give you. In case the smell comes up directly from the black tank, we can just pour a bit of that down there to freshen it up. And we also have a combined bath and shower. Now in the bathroom we also have our control panel, which is one of the most important parts of the inside here. I'll start off with this little panel here. We have the levels of all of our tanks. So as I push down on each of these buttons, you'll see that these light up from empty to full. So we have our gray, that's our gray tank, our sink and shower wastewater. I'm holding that down, you can see that's empty. We have our black tank, that is also empty. Fresh water, I'll hold that down, that's empty. And we can also see how charged our house battery in the front is. Turning this switch on will activate our water pump. So this will help us draw water from our water tank. So you do not want to have this on if you are plugged into city water at your campsite. We also have the switch for our tank heaters. So if you're going to a place where it's below freezing, you just want to switch this on to prevent your waste tanks from freezing over. We also have our settings for the water heater here. So we can either use propane gas, that'll be the propane tanks in the front. You're just going to flip this on, it'll take up to 15 minutes to heat up your water. So if you want to use hot water, just plan that much in advance. Alternatively, if you are plugged into shore power, we can use 110-volt electricity instead, just to save a bit of that propane, although it will take the same amount of time. We have a bit of storage area, some shelf space next to the kitchen. And down here we have our fuse box and circuit breaker box. So we'll give you some extra fuses for your rental, but in case anything happens, you can always check out if anything has blown here or if any of the circuits are flipped to off. We have our furnace settings here as well. So this will run on a bit of the house battery and a bit of the propane as you turn it on. Just like in the bathroom, we also have a exhaust fan and skylight for the kitchen area. Onto the kitchen area here, we'll start off with our refrigerator. So the refrigerator will run on propane when you're not plugged in. And when you do plug into shore power, it'll automatically switch over to electricity. So no matter what, your fridge will stay on and your food will stay cool. We have two stovetop burners here. You're just going to set each of these to light. You can hear the propane come out, and then we're going to take a long lighter and just ignite it. Once you're done, you're going to wait a few minutes before you put the top back on, just in case you don't want the propane to be trapped underneath here. Below that, we have a standard house microwave right over here, although it is a little bit smaller. And lastly, we have a kitchen sink here, pretty big, with a top on here if you want a little bit of extra counter space. And then we also have a little bottle opener on the corner here. To open the windows for this trailer, you just want to take this latch here, pull it out and a little bit towards you, and that's it. You just push it back in to close it. And for the blinds, they're just pulled down and push out. Our dinette area here turns into a bed, and I'll show you that right now. So all I've done right now is take these 4 cushions out, and next we're going to take the tabletop off just by wiggling a bit. We can take our tabletop and slide it onto these ledges here. And lastly, we can take our cushions, put them in this format, and here's our bed. Above my head, we have our AC unit. So we have 2 knobs here. This knob will control how hot or cold it is. So as we go down here, it'll become more cooler. And then we have 2 settings here. This gray part is going to be just the fan, and then the blue part will engage the compressor, and this will be your AC. So this will turn it up either way. Up front, we have our bedroom area with a privacy curtain that'll go across the front, and then we have a lot of storage up and around on both sides. We also have a little hole in here to hang your clothes if you'd like. We also have what we call a Murphy bed here, so it is a sofa that we can pull down and we can turn into a large mattress. So I'll show you how to do that right now. So it's very simple. You just want to take our sofa here and pull it up and over like a futon. And lastly, we can bring our foldable mattress down like this, and here is our bed. During your rental, we'll also give you a bag containing your registration in case anything happens, as well as some extra fuses for your fuse box, and a little paper that'll have a QR code for an online guide / manual / FAQ for most of the questions that you'll have. As far as the keys go, we have all of our contact information here, so you can give us a call about anything regarding your rental. And then we'll also have a separate 24/7 roadside assistance number that you can call with any problems or questions that you have. As far as the keys go, we have our purple key, which is pretty much for everything, the cabin door, storage compartments, everything, and the silver key will be just for your outside shower. And that'll be it for our 2023 Coachmen Apex Nano 208 VHS. I'm Dan from Ace RV Rentals and Sales, and have a great trip.